Hello, hello, and welcome to the Ubuntu Community Q&A. If you're new to this and you're watching this through ubuntuonair.com, there's a chat widget below the video feed. Just enter your favorite nickname, hit the connect button, and then you can talk to us. We enjoy questions, so please don't wait until the last minute, get them in. If you use Ubuntu, if you use IRC, just hop on the Ubuntu-on-air channel on Freenode, because we're there as well. And just prefix your question with question in capital letters so we can more easily pick them up. Hey, Mike, how are you?
I am tired. Do you know why I'm tired, Daniel?
I have a suspicion.
Because I just got back from UbuCon Europe, just like you. So last weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, there was a big UbuCon event hosted by the German Loco team over in Essen, Germany, which is just outside of Dusseldorf. And we were all over there for that to give presentations and watch some presentations. It was a lot of fun, a lot of really good information. It was great to see some people there that I've known for a while online, but never actually met in person. So being able to meet like Marius Gripsgaard, the UBports guy, I've been talking to fairly regularly for a while. Never actually met him, so being able to see him was great. And the other Marius, who's I think Mr. Q there on IRC, it's good to see him. Some other very familiar names with unfamiliar faces. And Marius gave me one of these, a nice UBports sweater that is so very comfortable.
Represent.
Yeah. So we had Jane Silber there, the Canonical CEO. She started off the event with a keynote. She gave a really nice overview of a lot of the community activity that's going on, and praise for people in the community and the work that they're doing, and that was really nice to see and hear. And then each of the three of us on the community team gave a Snappy related presentation. If you were there, you got to learn quite a bit about snaps. You hopefully got to join in the workshop that we gave that was based around our Code Labs snap. If you weren't there, or you were there and you didn't get to participate in it, you can still use the Code Labs. You can actually install them as a snap. If you run snap install snap-codelabs, it will put it on your machine and start it up in the background. Then you just go to localhost port 8123, I believe is the one, and that will pull that up there for you, and you can follow along the exact same stuff that we had at the workshop. So that was good. I missed the UNAV session, but I hear that was really popular and had some really good information. I did get to sit in the Ubuntu Touch porting session, which was there was a lot of technical detail there about how porting works for Ubuntu phones in the UBports project and where he's going with those. And in just before the keynote, actually, he gave a live, not product launch, but product reveal. That's the word I was looking for. So Marius showed off that he's developing a docking station for Ubuntu phones that will work with any of the phones that he's developing ports for, and I think also some of the ones that Canonical has ported. So he's about to start a Kickstarter for that. In fact, I think he was going to start it this week. So Marius, if you're in the IRC channel and you have a link to that, let us know. How about you, Daniel? What were your favorite sessions?
So yeah, first of all, like basically what Mike said, what I enjoyed best was seeing a lot of people again. And for me, it was obviously the community team, but also all the people from the Ubuntu Germany community. Like they've been working very hard to pull this off, and loads of the old faces were around. So Sujivan, Torsten, Marius, and Ilonka, loads of others. It was just great to hang out with them again. we also had participation from some of the Ubuntu old-timers, like Laura, Liz, Jose, Nathan Haynes. Like there were loads of them around, and it was just brilliant to just hang out, chat, and see how everyone is doing. So the social aspect was something I enjoyed a lot, but also the sessions were just great. So you mentioned James' session already. I also like the Snap sessions, obviously, because it's something I'm closely involved with. It was also nice to see the feedback people had. So, for example, there was somebody from the Lime Survey project who was looking into snapping their software, which was nice, and we're in touch now to get it in the store. Thibaut gave a session about IoT related stuff, so it was interesting to see which conversations we're already having with IoT companies who want to do something with Ubuntu Core. It was nice to see Malte, forgot his last name, from Microsoft. That was a bit unexpected, or not unexpected for someone in the audience. That was obvious to see, but he
Microsoft isn't usually who you see at an UbuCon or Linux conference, but they're super excited about having Ubuntu on Windows.
Absolutely. So he gave a session about running Bash on Ubuntu on Windows. He demoed it, showed how the integration worked, and it looks like there went like a lot of very deep thought into making this happen on the Windows side, and it's just very interesting to see how these worlds slowly come together, and there's more and more integration points. So that was really nice, and I get to see him at lunch later on, surrounded with like loads and loads of people. So it looks like there is a lot of interest in making this happen. There were quite a few sessions around writing apps for Ubuntu. So the UNAV session, or in general the phone-related things. Christian Duvan, also from Canonical, gave a session about writing apps. So there's momentum there, and it looked like those people they naturally found together and were talking about the phone and apps and stuff, which is great. I also enjoyed Jose's session about Juju, like having more been on the desktop devices, phone, Snap side of the world. I sometimes miss out on what's happening in the Juju world or the cloud world, and it was just great to see what they pull off and how easy this is to navigate. Like that was great as well. Also,
Jose was also in your workshop learning how to make snaps, so we
right.
I expect we're going to see some snappy Juju crossover happening from him soon.
Yeah. Also enjoyed Laura's and Liz's sessions. Like there were loads. Like if you have a look at the schedule, it's on ubucon.org. I think some of the sessions were recorded, so they will be put online as well. And again, I would like to thank everyone who pulled this off. Like it was months and months of work and preparation for quite a few. Sujivan at the helm, like he was leading most of this. It was also nice to see how many sponsors they pulled into this. Like, I know that Microsoft, for example, sponsored one of the social events, if I remember correctly. Like, they had these conversations well in advance, and it was like beautifully done. Like, kudos to all of you.
And we had people from all over the world. Sujivan, he showed a breakdown of the registration, and there were we had people from California like Liz and Phil and Nathan and Jose from Peru. We had people from China and other parts in like Asia and the Middle East. It's people from all over coming to this. So it was UbuCon Europe, and it was primarily German and French people, but there was a wide array of countries represented there. So that was really nice to see.
It was.
So onward and upwards, we're going to be planning an UbuCon in California for next year. co-hosted with Scale. I've got a call later today to talk about that. So if you are not in Europe and not able to attend that UbuCon, but you are in the US, keep an eye out for that and see if you can attend it. It's, like I said, co-hosted with Scale, which is a great conference to go to anyway. So you get 2 for 1 if you attend on that.
Brilliant. So yeah,
all right,
just a quick thing on UbuCons. Like, I really like how people get together and pull off a big event like this. Like, it's as Mike said, it's happening in California. There's already discussions about doing another one in Paris next year. UbuCon LA was UbuCons in Latin America. Like, there's more planned there as well.
There was talk about one in Romania possibly next year.
Right. So if you're interested in doing something like this, maybe co-hosting it with another event, like the case of Scale, talk to us, talk to the local council, talk to the other UbuCon organizers. We're all very social people, and we want to help you make this happen.
Yes. And we've had sessions at Ubuntu Online Summits about running UbuCons. We had one, this past one with Sujivan, that was kind of part talking about UbuCons in general, but also getting the final details ready for UbuCon Europe. And yeah, we're happy to help. We love seeing these pop up all over the place. They can be as, small or large as you want to make them. It's really easy if you co-host with another event near you and just get a room for a day, and then you just have to worry about finding speakers and getting the schedule together. So we do encourage these as much as possible, and we do support them financially too when we can, and help people find sponsors to help financially support them also. And of course, we're happy to send you, swag and banners and tablecloths and whatever you need to run the event itself.
Brilliant. I just read on IRC, somebody said they had 170 registrations for UbuCon Europe and people from 30 countries. Like, this is something to be supported.
Yeah. And only like half of them were from Germany. I think it was just like slightly more than half. So most people, a large number of people who were there were not from the local area. So there's a lot of people traveling in for that. And I mentioned Online Summit earlier. Part of the reason Daniel and I are so tired is because we were running Ubuntu Online Summit right before we left for UbuCon. So that happened Tuesday and Wednesday of last week. All of those videos were recorded, and you can go back and watch them. They're all on summit.ubuntu.com/UOS-1611. You can search them, or you can just browse the schedule and find the ones that you're interested in. And of course, there's a keynote that started that one out too from Gustavo, who went through all of the snappy features that have landed recently or will be landing soon. It's a really good overview of what's there and what's coming, and gives you an idea of the power of snaps and the whole snappy ecosystem that we're building around them.
Right. Also happening last week was the Ubuntu Community Appreciation Day. It's a very long term for basically saying thanks to people who do great work in Ubuntu. And this happened on Sunday. It's every year. It's a tradition which was started like 5 years ago by Ahmed Shams. And I think we should continue it for the rest of the week at the very least. So find somebody near you, send them an email, give them a hug, write a blog post, tweet, whatever. Just make people feel good about what they're doing.
Yeah, there are people who are doing stuff for us every day, and we know that we appreciate them, but we don't always say it. So it's always good to have a reminder like UCA Day to say, let people know that you appreciate what they're doing. Put it online somewhere so other people see. So think about who in the community has done something that's benefited you, or is organizing something that you really think is good and should be celebrated, and just give them a thanks in person, in public, on social media, wherever. But make sure that they know the work they're doing is appreciated. It really makes a huge difference. People like to know, when they're doing something good, that other people see it and like it. So tell them thank you. I think UCA Day is the hashtag if you're using social media. Daniel just posted that in IRC. So use that. Let somebody know today that you appreciate them.
Nice.
All right, I think we can start taking questions now. Remember to ask your questions in IRC. Start it with the word question in all capital letters. Don't wait until the end of the show to start asking a whole bunch of them, or we won't have time to get to them.
Right, I think the first one we already covered was Marius Quabeck, Mr. Q. He had his birthday yesterday, so happy belated birthday.
Happy birthday. Yeah. I hope you got your card.
Yeah, he did. He posted on the blog.
Somebody was sneaking a card all around UbuCon to get it signed without him knowing.
So yeah, he asked how was UbuCon Europe. I think we've covered that. We're also going to send a trip report as a blog post tomorrow or something. Right, so Cube asked, if the key ring password is waiting for input and I leave the computer 4 hours unattended, it doesn't lock the screen automatically, but if I enter the password, I leave the screen, it locks.
That's kind of a support question that we try not to get into on these. These are really just to answer more general questions. For stuff like that, I would either file a bug or email the Ubuntu Devel mailing list, or join Ubuntu Devel or Ubuntu Desktop on IRC and ask them. I would imagine that there's a reason it's doing this, and that maybe this is just an unintended consequence of that.
Yeah. Also, askubuntu.com is also a good place to find out what's happening there.
Yeah, but I suspect that that's just a place where the design didn't cover that properly.
Right. All right.
DS Lull asks, is it possible to compile apps for Ubuntu Touch OTA 13 or 14 using a newer Qt version, such as Qt 5.8? It would be cool to compare their performance using the new QML caching mechanism. I think you can if you bundle Qt 5.8 in your Click package. I know if you're going to do a snap, that would work. You can just include whatever version of Qt you want into your snap package. And that would let you run it on Unity 8 desktops or even Unity 7 desktops if you want to see that there. But to run it on the phone, it has to be in Click. And I don't think we have a real easy mechanism for including that kind of stuff in a Click package right now. So you're kind of, the assumption was that you would use the system Qt that we provide on there.
It's also going to be a question how the two different versions of Qt are going to interact or not interact. So I'm not quite sure that there's going to be an easy way to do this.
Right. You can ask in #ubuntu-app-devel. A lot of the SDK team and the people who maintain the Qt packaging for Ubuntu are in there, and they can tell you A, how to do it, and B, what to expect if you do it like that.
Right. Okay, looks like we have an update from Mr. Q. It is Ilonka's birthday today. She was at the event as well, was also helping out. So
happy birthday, Ilonka.
Yes, happy birthday. Next question is from
Jose's birthday is coming up soon too.
Really? Wow.
I think so. I think it's sometime in December. I'll have to check. I'm sure Facebook knows.
Yeah. So, Michael, how did you survive Germany?
I was fine in Germany. It's a really, granted, I didn't see a whole lot of Germany. I saw Dusseldorf Airport and the part of Essen that I could walk to in a couple hours' time. But it was nice. The people were, for the most part, friendly. I bought the wrong train ticket to go from the airport to the hotel. And so I didn't make any friends with the woman who was checking tickets on the train. She was quite unhappy with me about that. But yeah, I survived fine. They had this fun little Christmas market within walking distance of the hotel that we were at. So I got to go there, and we got some treats and some drinks. It was good. The hotel that we were at was really interesting. The Unperfect House and Hotel. It's like this communal art studio startup space that also has conference rooms. So there's a lot of really artistic stuff going on. There were some people playing live music in some of the rooms. It was really neat. And they had pretty good food there too.
Yes, big plus one. Really enjoyed it there. All right, we have another question from Seb. It's UEFI, great fun on new laptops, right?
I don't know. I don't have a new laptop. I
Yeah.
have a 5-year-old laptop.
I can't really speculate there, but if you have any specific things you want to talk about, or like there might be better bug reports if you're seeing issues, I don't quite know.
Right. I mean, UEFI isn't exactly new. It's been out for a while, and we've supported it for a while. So unless you've got like some weird implementation of it, there shouldn't be any problems. I know we've even got a signed bootloader that will work with any of the UEFI boards that are doing secure boot. So that there should not be any problems.
Right.
Of course, it's technology, so there are always are going to be problems for somebody somewhere. So if you've run into something, it's best to file bug reports so that we know what hardware is an issue and see if it's something that we can fix.
Yep. Okay.
Right, Dragonbite says MJ Technology announced coming out with a tablet running OpenSUSE in the attempt to contact them about an Ubuntu Touch version. So this was the company that was also making an Ubuntu tablet at some point. I don't know if that was ever actually something that they produced or not. I believe they were using Unity 7 on it, though. So it was just, regular Ubuntu desktop in a tablet device. Which runs okay, but, it's not designed for touch interfaces the way Unity 8 is.
I mean, it sounds like they have some experience with Ubuntu already. So, as you said, it might be worth reaching out to them and just seeing what their plans are.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody's talked to them at some point. They've been working on Ubuntu-related stuff for a couple of years now, I think. I know they've been around for a little while. I'm sure at some point in that time we've had conversations with them. And they can join any of our public conversations to talk about it also.
All right.
He updated that saying that they're trying to get funding for the tablet. It looks like they've got an Indiegogo project for that. So, all the usual cautions about funding Kickstarter or Indiegogo stuff. You're not pre-ordering. Remember that. You're making an investment that may or may not pan out. All right.
Okay.
Chris Baum says, I visited the Digging Deep into Snapcraft talk from Michael, and it was great. Thank you. But I really wonder when the Snappy documentation will be updated with the ton of new things we learned at your talk, and where can I help with updating the documentation if needed? First of all, thanks for the offer to help. We always need help with documentation. I believe all of that is on GitHub now under Snapcraft.io project. There might be a different repo for some of it.
I think
so. All of it in my talk came from documentation that we have in one place or another. I don't think there's anything that I talked about that I didn't find information for online somewhere. So it might just be a matter of, reorganizing it so that it's easier to find it all. But if you want to help with that, please join #Snappy here on Freenode. Give David Calais a ping or Didrox on IRC. Let them know you're interested in helping with documentation, and they can show you the right projects on GitHub to work on that. I think it's all in Markdown now for the most part. So it's really easy to contribute fixes to it or improvements to documentation. And again, thank you for the offer to help. We really appreciate any help that we get on these things.
Yes, big +1 to what Mike said. Like most of it should be under github.com/snapcore, or that's at least where we're moving everything. So if you have a look at that for your first port of call, that's going to make sense. Right. So Dragonbite posted a follow-up question about working with OpenSUSE, joining forces. I'm not.
Is that a follow-up on the tablet question?
I think
or
so.
Is this just in general?
I mean, in general, we're collaborating with OpenSUSE people. Like we're all involved in various open source projects. We're collaborating on a daily basis. But if you're referring to the tablet, I think it would be good to see if the tablet gets funding first, and then figure out what kind of hardware it is. Like everything we do, like all of Ubuntu Touch is open source. So like right now collaborating with OpenSUSE on a tablet which might not get funded, I don't know how much sense that's going to make.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if OpenSUSE is even really involved in that tablet work, or if the MJ Technology folks are just taking what OpenSUSE has already made and putting it on there. So there may not be anything that they're working on with the tablet either. I don't think there was anything specific that we were doing when they were working on the Ubuntu tablets. But in general, yeah, anywhere that it makes sense to work together when we're trying to build the same thing, we'll work with them on that. I know for like porting snapd and snapconfine to other distros, we've been using the Open Build service or Open Build system that SUSE provides to make different packages for different distros, and that's been really nice to have.
Okay. Here's another question from DS Lull. Is it possible to install Mir and Unity 8 on top of Ubuntu Core, running on Raspberry Pi 3, for example? This would be great after Nexus 4 won't be supported anymore.
Yes. I don't know if that's all working. I know Kevin Gunn's posted several times about getting Mir working as a snap on top of Ubuntu Core. And I also know that there's there's a snap package of Unity 8 sessions that's in development right now. So that is the plan. Whether or not it all works right now together, might not, but it should be soon. But yeah, the plan is that all of these things will be just snaps on top of Ubuntu Core and will run on Raspberry Pi or BeagleBoard or any of those others, or traditional, desktop, laptop hardware.
Right. So definitely have a look at Kevin Gunn's blog post. I'm going to find the link in a bit. A link to documentation on how to get Mir up and running and how to bundle it with whatever you're trying to do. So, for example, some of the work which was posted on Insights was about digital signage, and that's also work which is based on Mir on Ubuntu Core. So it's definitely, like, the Mir part is definitely working. Unity 8 might be in or is in progress. I also don't know how far it currently is. Is the touch mailing list a good place for this?
I think maybe Ubuntu Phone might have all the right people on there.
Right.
You could join #Ubuntu-Unity on IRC also, yes. And there'll be the people there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. I think we skipped a question from Seb3.
Okay.
He says, ever had a crashing Linux distro installer? Unfortunately, had this with Ubuntu 16.10 and 16.04 on a UEFI system when was meant to put grub on. I've never had that, but I also don't have a UEFI system yet. Again, it should work. The fact that it's crashing for you is a bug. So file a bug report for that.
Yeah.
It's either in Ubiquity and grub, or it's specific to your hardware, in which case we might need to find a workaround for that. All right. Um, Tybot asks, what is the status of the Zinio Bring Up port? Are we weeks, months, or years away to see this land on phones? I'm not quite sure where we are on that. I know there have been like daily builds happening for a while, but I don't know what the status is of them. I'm trying to remember the last time we had somebody from there on either an Ubuntu on Air or an online summit. It's been a while.
Although there was the convergence Q&A at the online summit, so some of this might have been answered there. Unfortunately, I couldn't follow the discussion there.
Yeah, neither could I. I was hosting another session that hour, and I haven't had time to go back and rewatch any of the videos from the last UOS because of being at UbuCon.
So a lot of answers should have been in that Q&A.
And if the answer you're looking for wasn't in there, use the Ubuntu phone mailing list and ask there.
Yes. Okay, we have another question from DragonBite. It's Microsoft is bringing out Visual Studio based on Mono Develop for Macs. Mono Develop, from what I see, is outdated. With Canonical's work with Microsoft, is there a chance this will help with getting Visual Studio for Linux? I have no idea.
Is Visual Studio built on Mono Develop? I thought that was an Electron app.
I have absolutely no.
Maybe Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code are different things.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Mono Develop, last I knew, was not a Microsoft product. It was being independently developed. So that may not be Microsoft we should work with on that. It may be another group. Yeah, sorry, just don't really know, DragonBite. But if you want to put any of those developers in touch with us, we can do our best to help them get the newest version available for Ubuntu. And we just saw a snap of the Ubuntu IDE that's based on Qt Creator. So a lot of work's been going into making it possible to snap these kinds of applications. So we should be able to produce a snap package of Mono Develop or Visual Studio using whatever versions of whatever dependencies they want to have, whether or not they're in Ubuntu's archives already or not. All right, Seb3 is asking, snap, 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 snappy. Any response to that?
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Chloe Wolfie Girl asked, what feature do you wish to see on Ubuntu Phone?
Really, it's not so much features as just apps from the official developers of those apps or those services. Things like Facebook the web version that we have to use on Ubuntu phones, it works, but it's not as featureful as their Android or their iOS apps are. So seeing those would be great.
For me, it would be Snap integration. Like having snaps on the phone would be absolutely fantastic. So,
oh yeah,
change a lot.
Getting to that point where all of our Ubuntu systems are using the same infrastructure and packaging and apps. That's not so much a feature as like just a necessary thing that we've got to get to, I think. Right. Chris Baum says, why is all the snappy code and docs in GitHub not on Launchpad? Was it a technical decision or just to make the project more visible? It was just because all of the open source developers are starting to use GitHub and we want to be easily accessible to them. So, if somebody's already using GitHub, familiar with Git, they know all of these tools and processes, we don't want to make it difficult for them to get involved in our projects. So we've been putting more and more stuff on GitHub. We're adding Git functionality to Launchpad for the people who still want to use Launchpad but want to use Git also. So we're just we're trying to go where the developers are and support what they want to be supported instead of just what we've built in the past.
Yeah, I think the Snap things were one of the first few experiments, and it looks like they're really doing well. Other things which are nice are the Travis integration, for example. That's something which really works well. And you mentioned documentation, like being able to edit the markdown on the website, see if it looks good, hit the propose fix button is just very, very nice. And we had a lot of fixes due to that as well.
Yeah, having the ease of editing of a wiki with all the power of source code management is a nice combination. And we also now have the ability to sync Git repos between Launchpad and any remote Git repo. So if you want to take advantage of like Launchpad's build services to build snaps on different architectures, it's a lot easier now to just sync what's already in GitHub over into Launchpad for that. And there was a session last UOS describing how that works. I think that was Colin Watson or somebody from the Launchpad team giving that.
Right. Chloe Wolf Girl asked, when you're ill, how do you usually look after yourself? Mostly rest?
Yeah, rest. Drinking. I drink a lot of hot tea when I'm sick.
Yeah.
I don't like cold drinks when I'm sick. Usually I drink cold tea or water, but when I'm sick I like the warm stuff.
Warm
hot
beer,
tea, a little bit of honey, some rum or bourbon. helps the sore throat.
All right. Dragonbite asked, have you tried out or heard of anybody who has tried out Microsoft SQL Server on Linux? Is it limited or fully featured? I know there's no managed studio GUI app. It's just the database core. When will the snap for it be available? I don't think I have an answer on any of the questions, but it would really surprise me if it was a limited edition or something.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's the exact same version that runs on Windows servers.
Yeah, that's what I gathered from the press announce. But yeah,
as far as the snap, that would be nice. I know the people in Canonical who are talking to Microsoft about supporting these things are also talking to them about snap packaging. So hopefully we will start to see some of that soon. All right, guests asks, last week FEMA sent an email asking for volunteers to test some wireframes and prototypes that they've designed for scopes. Did you see the prototypes? I'm not sure which ones she was sending out wireframes for. I have seen the current working code that shows like the new apps scope or whatever it's called now that's attached to the launcher. I think that looks really nice. I like that better than the separate window that we've got right now on Unity 8 on the desktop. If there's something newer than that you've seen, I have not seen it yet. So if you've got a link or something you can share, please do that. All right, Seb3 asks, why does the Unity 8 preview for desktop not have a bit more installed by default? Was watching videos earlier, seems get to use the terminal and install a load of snaps to make it much more usable. Probably because the Unity 8 developers are just focused on the shell itself right now. There's different teams working on apps and the rest of the desktop integration. But for just people wanting to get a preview out of the shell, I wouldn't expect much more than the shell for that.
Right. Seb3 also wants to know if I have a commercial Ubuntu Touch device yet or not, and why. I had the Galaxy Nexus, had the Nexus 4, gave them away for others so they could do some more testing. I got myself the MX4. It broke I got it fixed. It broke. I got it fixed. I wasn't probably, you know, uh, handling it very well, and now it's broken again. So right now I'm without an Ubuntu phone. Sad truth.
Yeah.
Moving on, Dragonbite wants to know: do you think Ubuntu's focus with the phone is the best choice, or should it try focusing on a niche market, businesses, education, government, etc.? I read somewhere Microsoft is focusing on businesses because their mobile strategy has largely failed. We had some similar questions in the past, and I don't think like that's my interpretation. I don't think that Canonical ever tried to go into the phone business, go after Apple and Google, and replace everything with Ubuntu phones. Like this was always part of a larger strategy, which had convergence at its core. So what we want is um, one set of code running on laptops, on phones, on tablets, on desktops, on TVs, everywhere. And like with Snaps, we're even taking this a bit further. So if you snap a service, you could install it on all of these devices. So that's what we're doing here. And I think it's also going to benefit a lot of people. Like if you're in a position where you can just write your code once and it will run everywhere. You will save a lot of time and money in testing across devices and that sort of thing. So I think looking at the broader strategy makes a lot more sense. And all the sectors you mentioned, so businesses, education, government, I think they're all going to benefit from this as well.
Yeah, I think if you're making an operating system, you can't ignore the phone or the IoT market. I mean, increasingly, the desktop is becoming a niche market unto itself. It's already smaller than the mobile market. There are more phones out there than there are computers. Pretty soon, there's going to be more IoT devices even than phones because everybody's going to have, 4, 5, 6 mobile or internet connected devices in their home doing something. So I don't think you can afford to not think about those things and focus on those things. And increasingly, developers, they don't want to have different platforms for all of this that they have to target. They want just one set of, platform or one set of APIs and services and packaging available that they have to worry about. They don't want this Wild West that we currently have of everybody doing their own thing. So I think it was the right move for us to focus on phone. I think it's the right move for us to focus on IoT. I think if we had just focused on desktop, that the market would have left us behind.
All right. Tayebot wants to know, have you noticed a drop in app development for Ubuntu Phone now that there's no phones available to buy?
It has slowed the conversation down. I've also noticed a lot of app developers who had been targeting the phone are starting to work on convergence and thinking about the desktop now. So it's not so much that people are not doing app development anymore, but are rather shifting and broadening that focus to cover more than just the phone. And Canonical's doing it too. We spent 3 years building up this platform on the phone with Unity 8 and the UI toolkit, and now we're having to move that all over into desktop. And that's a lot of work that we're focusing on right now, is bringing this all up in the desktop. And a necessary part of that shift of focus is that what we've been doing for the past 2 years, we're going to be doing less of, just so that we can have more people working on what's coming next.
Yeah, I've also seen, for example, the terminal app is getting a redesign now. So there's still lots of stuff happening, but as Mike said, like making the conversions actually happen, getting stuff on the desktop is also getting app developers who are currently targeting like a small set of phone users. There's going to give their apps much more exposure if these things run on desktops as well. So
I mean, we've we've already seen quite a bit of use of desktop snaps. I've been tracking the Krita snap, which was one of the early adopters of snap packaging in the store for desktop stuff. And they're up over 8,000 downloads so far, and closing in on 10,000 real fast. So I think there's a much broader appeal to getting those apps working on the desktop than we were able to offer them on the phone. All right, DS Lull says, I find versioning of various Ubuntu versions, desktop, phone, core, etc. a bit confusing. Why the stable OTA for phones is 15.04, but there's also 16.04, but I don't know for which phones, while the LTS for desktop is 16.04 and the latest core version is 16. Is there a link that sums this all up? No, there's not. The phones kind of got frozen on 15.04. So we didn't have to keep porting new versions of the foundational packages, the system or Upstart and whatnot, to these devices every time we updated Ubuntu. That was a strategic decision to let us keep iterating faster on the higher level stuff like the toolkit and the desktop services. But that has left us kind of behind the desktop on a lot of other things. So the work now is to try and catch that back up. Rebasing that on snaps will let us move a little bit faster because snaps provide a better decoupling of the OS and the applications themselves. As far as naming snap versions, just 16 instead of year.month. I don't know what the plan is on that, sadly, but we can find out. If you ask in #snappy, somebody there should be able to point you to some information on that.
Yeah, and with more and more, what the theme tonight seems to be convergence and what the plan is to make it happen. And I think with that, we're going to see much less crazy versioning all over the place. That's at least my gut feeling. But I realize that it's a bit confusing right now.
Okay, the next one's for me. Did M. Hall miss the spinning fan in Germany? How did the German November weather compared to Florida as well? So you may notice my fan is currently not spinning because it is finally getting cool in Florida. It was a chilly 20 degrees when I landed in Miami yesterday. I think it's probably between 15 and 20 outside right now, which is why I'm in my UB Ports sweater to keep myself warm. So you probably won't see this fan spinning too much over the next few months until we get closer to spring again. Germany was cold for me, especially since I don't have any real good cold weather jackets. So I just went with layers on layers to keep me warm. And I survived.
It wasn't even freezing yet, so I think
no,
fine with
all the people from Northern Europe were all like, it's not that cold. It's nice and warm out.
Right. There was this question about, Step 3 wants to know if we like long plane flights.
No. If I could take a short plane flight and still end up on the other side of the world, I would choose that easily.
Yes, +1.
I don't think anybody who travels will say that they like the long travel.
I guess it also depends on the selection of movies, who you're traveling with, how loud the people around you are. But yeah.
Even if you're in a good airline or you're up in business or first class, 10 hours in a pressurized metal tube is still 10 hours in a tube. There's only so good it can get.
Yeah, that's one. Right.
All right. Guest is asking, after the rebase of Ubuntu Touch with 16.04, the phones that aren't capable will be dropped just like that? ? And remain with the bugs they have, or will they receive hotfix for critical bugs? That is still something that the developers and the teams that would maintain it are trying to figure out how much they can support and for how long they can support it. Those discussions have been going on for a while, and there's been a lot of back and forth. Hopefully next month, sometime in December, we will have a roadmap that we can stick to. Until then, unfortunately, I can't answer you in any more detail than that because I don't have those details.
Right. Not really a question, but some feedback from Marius. He said it was nice to see you again, and I hope to see you at the next UbuCon.
Yes, or at least the next UbuCon in Europe somewhere. I think the next UbuCon on the calendar might be in California. But yeah, it was great to see you. There were several people that I met for the first time last weekend, and that's always a lot of fun. You're meeting friends, longtime friends, for the first time.
Very much so.
All right. Well, that was the last question I see.
Yep. Same here. Same here.
And we're close enough to out of time that I think we can go ahead and wrap this up just a few minutes early.
Good.
Thank you, everyone, for your questions. Thank you for attending and watching us. Thanks again to everybody who was involved in UbuCon Europe, getting that off the ground and attending those sessions. We enjoyed being there, and we look forward to being back.
Yes, same here. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
See you around.